Hey. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I got here and I was just like, oh my god, my dad, yay! So I have some things to say. I wrote very little on the back of my vegetarian card. Where to begin? How lucky are we as a community to have such a wonderful man? Not only to be the child of David and Iris, but to be somebody that just gets to share in his light and his life is a blessing and an honor and a privilege, as I'm sure most of us feel. All of us feel. In the last 28 years, my dad has done something incredible. He has created connections, community. What hasn't he done? You've done such an incredible job, professionally, personally, in all aspects of your life in the past 28 years of Chicago Jewish funerals, the past however many years of you. 61.
45.
There's no ask too big and no gesture too small to my dad. I can't imagine the things that you do in a day, the things that you see in a day, the things that you've witnessed in your life. And for somebody to come home after all of that and still have a smile and be welcoming to the people, not only his family, but the community, the people that he interacts with every single day, it takes a really special person to be able to do that. I am incredibly lucky to be the child of such a strong pillar in the Jewish community, to see how incredible our community in Chicago is, and to have such a front row seat to it. For all that you've done, for all the love and kindness and care and joy and compassion that you've brought to our community in Chicago and Skokie, I hope it finds you wherever you go, every aspect of your life, and I am eternally grateful to be your child, to be impacted by you. Thank you.
Rabbi Joe Zarowski. He is our immediate past president of NAJC. I know, a close friend, and he's going to come up and introduce you now.
So this is the point at the funeral where the rabbi gets up and says, you know, it's really hard to follow the loving words of a family member. And although I never had the pleasure of knowing the deceased, I'm going to say a few kind words anyway. I do have the pleasure of knowing David, who is an amazing and wonderful human being. And this thing isn't working. I'd like to. There's got to be a way to do this, but I don't know what it is. Before I talk about David, I just mentioned David and Chicago Jewish Funerals have a catchphrase, the way it should be. I want to use that to frame my remarks tonight. Yeah. We're concluding this lovely convention, and there's an internal piece and an external piece. Internally, over 100 of us have been together here in beautiful Skokie, Illinois, to learn and grow. And keeping in mind that NAJC, for those of you who are not familiar, and here's the external piece, we have close to 500 members who serve in hospital settings, long-term care and senior settings, end-of-life settings, community chaplaincy settings such as our program at JCFS, and all sorts of other settings. To those of you who are not chaplains but have come to honor Rabbi Rob Jury and David Jacobson, I just want to let you know that your support is not only honoring the honorees who deserve it, really, really deserve it, as you've heard and will hear, but also to support the work of those of us who are doing the holy work out there, which will have an impact. And I'm not making these numbers up. Tens of thousands of the ill, the elderly, the frail, the lonely. Chaplains offer spiritual care, so we are grateful for your support. That's the kind of clout and impact that we have in supporting people who need us the most, and those are the numbers. It's the way it should be. I'm going to frame my remarks with a little bit of Torah. How could you not have a little bit of Torah? Yesterday was one of the least well-known holidays on the Jewish calendar. Some of you know about it, some of you don't. It's called Pesach Sheni, second Passover. It's a month after the first. We're still busy putting away the dishes and cleaning up the first Passover. Like, what are you talking about? But there's actually a second Pesach. It's not that well known. The customs are sparse. Some people eat a piece of matzah. Certain parts of the daily service are left out. But the root of it, I think, speaks very much to the work that we do and the work that David does and how we come together to honor David tonight. It goes back to the Parsha of Balotcha, it's Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 9, where there's a really interesting story there. A year after the first Passover, a group of people come to Moses and say, it says, Vayu anashim asher hayu tmeim lenefesh adam. They were ritually impure. They were not able to offer the Paschal offering first time around that year. It was actually the second year. And they say, what should we do? And so there's a beautiful Gemara, the Talmud in Sukkah, Daf Kaf Hey. And it says, Otam Anashim Mi Hayu. Literally, who are these guys? That's the literal translation of the Hebrew. Who are these guys? And there are three views in the Talmud as to who they are. View number one, the view of Rosh Galili. They were the pallbearers carrying Joseph's remains, Yosef Atzadik, through the desert. And of course, we saw them with the Ten Commandments. They wrote a whole song about it. Joseph, Joseph. You've seen it, okay? But according to view number one in the Talmud, they were carrying Joseph's remains. Somebody who lived and died and has to be buried back in the homeland, land of Israel. The second view is the view of Rabbi Akiva, who says they were carrying remains, but they were the remains of Nadav and Avihu, Aaron's two sons who died suddenly in a tragedy. So sudden death, a difficult death. And they were attending to those needs as well. And then there's a third view who says, we don't know who they were carrying. They were attending to the needs of what was called a mate mitzvah, someone who had no one else to care for them and take care of their burial. A mate mitzvah. They were the David Jacobsons of that generation. That's what we're talking about. Right. The way it should be. The drasha itself writes itself. That's the best kind. And so we see that David follows in these traditions. It's at this point that I want to read the official introduction to David, and I'm going to add my own and somebody else's as well. So let me say a word about David. This is the official word. In August 1997, David Jacobson founded Chicago Jewish Funerals because he believed that there was a need to provide a service that was as attentive to the needs of the bereaved as it was to the strong traditions of the Jewish people. An active member of the Jewish community, David is a leading expert on Kavod Hamet, the Jewish traditions of honoring and respecting the dead. He's a frequent speaker at many of the Chicago area's congregations, community groups, and schools. He is often asked to speak to young people, their families, and the dying process, Jewish funeral traditions, and also bereavement. David is a proud Jewish funeral director. David lives in Evanston with his wife Iris and their dog Phoebe, who I saw was a therapy dog.
She's retired now.
Retired therapy dog, okay. Retired chaplains get a special rate, maybe retired therapy dogs should as well. The most wonderful dog in the world, it says here. Sure. David and Iris enjoy visiting their 3 children, Talia and her husband Tom, Gabriel, his wife Julie, and son Nevo, who live in Israel, and the younger daughter Sage, who lives in Colorado, who we just heard from. Yeah. And I was asked to read a quote from David's dear friend Sandy Starr, but who was here tonight. Where are you, Sandy? There you go. So I'm going to read part of your letter here. I have known David for likely 30 years. He did the funerals for my dad, my mom, and last November my dad-in-law. He actually drove with his team and my dad-in-law to Michigan and took care of everything starting the few hours after the death of the burial. It was such a relief to know that someone I trusted was taking care of this final and sacred journey 200 miles away in a town where there is no Jewish funeral director. My husband knew it would all work well. My mom knew David for as long as I did, as she was the volunteer coordinator for her section of Waldheim Cemetery, and often coordinated burials with him. When her friend died 15 years ago, I took her to the funeral at West Lawn, graveside only, and when I realized I couldn't physically get her up the little hill with her walker, David had coincidentally seen me and Mom, gave her a big hug, and asked her why she was in the car. He told her he would bring her a speaker and hook it up for her so she could hear the service, and he did. What a mensch. At a time when you most need the love and care of professionals, Dave and his incredible team are there for us. Award.The. Thank you. Sandy's letter. As they say on the late night cable channels, but wait, there's more. And there is. There is more. I have a few comments of my own to say here. David is a wonderful businessman, but his version of business is doing well by doing good. He's built an amazing operation here the way it should be. But more than just the numbers of funerals and the amount of service he's given, David has raised the respect for Jewish tradition in the industry by offering and not being pushy, not being coercive, but being kind and putting the options out there and teaching and educating the way it should be. And there's a little bit more than that. I didn't finish the story about the second Passover. So what happened there? They couldn't observe the first Passover. They were tamei, ritually impure. And so God tells Moses they'll get a second chance. This is the other half of the story. There's a second chance to observe Passover. That's what Pesach Sheni is about. And that's kind of the work of what chaplaincy is too. We give second and third and fourth and fifth chances. We're there for them. We journey with them. And David is someone who gets that because he does it himself. I can think of so many times when David has supported the work of chaplaincy and the things that we do. And I'm going back a number of years. I remember when we brought Rabbi Alex Grohl, I think that was his first name, a bereavement expert, to Chicago for a major program, and Dave funded it without hesitation. Whenever we've asked Dave to do anything for us, to put our chaplaincy community flyers and give them to the people who come to you, you do it without hesitation. When we offer to do some training with your staff, without hesitation. Second chances, third chances, fourth chances, and in fact the drasha goes even further. I mentioned that the view in the Gemara, this third view, which basically says that the first two views really couldn't happen for various reasons, that the early David Jacobsons in the time of the Torah were tending the mate mitzvah, the one who had nobody else to take care of them. And David and his team do that as well. Most of our Chicago Jewish chaplains know when we have someone who has no family, or no funds, or no place, or no support, this is where we go. This is where we turn, the mate mitzvah. In my own family, my wife's family, we didn't hesitate. to go to David when it was our turn for my in-laws. It's the way it should be. It's the way it's always been. It's the way it should be as well. David gets it. He understands chaplaincy. He gets spiritual care. And he's a really good guy, too. He's just a really menschy guy. And so we are absolutely delighted. We are so proud to present you with tonight's award, the Kinzbrunner Award, donated by the wonderful Kinzbrunner family, who's given us not only funding, but their son, who's here and a past president, smiling there in the corner. David, please come up.
A little bit of housekeeping before I begin. One is thank you for putting me after Rabbi Dr. Rob Jury. How am I going to do, you know? We all love Rob Jury. I have to say he's my neighbor. I have a little now award envy, a little beard envy, a little speaker envy. I will say that he's helped my family more than you can possibly imagine, and everything he says is true as it relates to his profession. And Lord knows the Chicago Jewish community needs people like him, but the services that he provides for the people with addictions is just beyond wonderful. And I thank you personally and professionally for our community. So thank you. Also, I'll do one of these too, Rob, okay? You should know that at Bent Park, when the rabbi is playing catch with his kid, it's in a suit. He has his hat. I'm in my crop top and thong in front of my house, and he doesn't care. And lastly, not to give you more, do you remember when your kid was born 8 years ago? And Iris and I wanted to bring you a meal to the family, and you got the same food issues as your family as we do in ours, so never invite us for Shabbat dinner. Seriously, a lot of allergies. But Tommy, what, is now 45, and we still haven't had that meal. I want to begin, it's not going to be long. I have only 30 pages here. And I want to just do a little, to say we're going to start with just a little Torah. I appreciate the rabbis not talking about Achrei Mo Kedoshim. You did Amor, you did Devarim, great. Because Achrei Mo Kedoshim was my bar mitzvah portion about 20 years ago. 48 years ago. So I begin with a little Torah, a little bit of acknowledgments, and a last word. My Torah. In Parshat Acharei Mot, the Torah opens as a reminder of the tragic deaths of Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu. In the immediate aftermath of the loss, Moshe approaches his grieving brother, not with solutions, but with sacred presence. He acknowledges the mystery of God's will and allows space for Aaron's silent grief. This moment stands as one of the earliest and most poignant examples of spiritual care in the Torah. Moshe, though a prophet and a leader, becomes something else in this moment. He becomes a chaplain. He does not offer platitudes. He does not move too quickly to ritual. He accompanies, he honors Aaron's pain. He holds space for the unspeakable. This is sacred work of chaplaincy, to walk along the mourner, the patient, the family member, with humility and presence. It is the work that Neshama, the Association of Jewish Chaplains, commit to every day, bringing light, comfort, and holiness into places often marked by darkness and uncertainty. The dual parsha reminds us that Achrei Mot, after the loss, and Kedoshim, which were called to holiness, chaplains are often the bridge between the two. In the wake of death, they help others find meaning, connection, and even a return to sacred living. As members and supporters of the NAJC, may we carry Moshe's model of sacred presence forward, lifting up the divine spark in every soul we encounter, and reminding the world that even in silence, even in pain, holiness can dwell. Yeah, I know, it still wasn't as good as this, but it's okay. You know this is going to be a thing now in the park. People are going to be talking, and they're going to be like, hey, did you hear Rob's? Did you hear David's? His was so much better. I want to move to acknowledgments. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I have to acknowledge, from where did I come? I have to first say to my mother and father, my mother was a really wonderful human being, and she wasn't an official chaplain, but she did Bikur Cholim. She taught, I think, us what it is to give to Jews and to give to humanity. She'd be at psych hospitals doing Jewish programs, and no one would show up in a psych hospital. And she did it with her piano player lady, Gloria, whose birthday was mine too. Anyways, my dad, he was a funeral director, nice guy, tried to do good in the world. My sister works at Yarnell. In Yarnell, she does Meals on Wheels, and I wrote it down, the Yarnell Regional Community Center. I mean, that's my mom's kid. And then I look at my in-laws. I just went to a show at the Mather Place, and my mother-in-law created the show for first-time actresses. And the show was probably the best show I've ever heard, only because what these people experienced in their life, they would have never had if it weren't for Joyce. And then she marries Don, who happens to be the super cool guy, pediatrician, and I have to say this to you. Medicine was not just about the science. What he did for people, what he did for children, he wanted to learn about the child. And for that, he also was a great chaplain. And then I think of my wife. I mean, she's a hot chick, let's just put it out there. But besides that, no, she worked with animals, but I'll tell you the best part. She works for the Ark. She volunteers for the Ark. Now, some people can give food. Some people can fulfill an order. My wife gives these people dignity. She gives them kindness. She is a chaplain. Because I don't know from where these people are coming to when they come to the Ark or where they're going. But after they leave talking with Iris, I feel that she raises the people much higher than they were before they came to the Ark. So that's really important. Seiji, okay, we'll give it Seiji. She was special gifts theater. Same thing, helping these children perform where no one else, would take that time. And it started out as a bat mitzvah project, but it became a life, really for a long, long time. Okay, so those are some acknowledgments. I think if you wonder from where I came, other than my mother and father, a lot of influences. I'd be remiss not to really thank, and I appreciate if you would also thank my team at Chicago Jewish Funerals. And I want to say something about that. So Iris and I, as you know, we have a couple kids living in Israel, and we just got back from a trip. We came back to zero complaints, zero everything. And people ask me, how can I go away for this period of time? It's you. You get it. I'm sort of like a has-been. You're the future. And each one of these people, I don't care if it's director, administrator, dreamer, maintenance, they all have the same level of authority to do whatever. So I want to just say thank you very much. I also appreciate the fact that my colleagues in the funeral profession, the cemetery profession are here, and I want to say thank you. The word for cemetery is Beit HaChaim, Beit HaOlamim, or Beit Kivurot. Beit Kivurot is just a house of graves. Beit HaChaim is a house of living. Beit HaOlamim is a house of the abode, the eternal abode. You're not just grave people. And when the rabbi talks about the people that we take care of that have nobody, They got you. And when we do a burial together, and Simcha and I were just talking about this with Yehuda and Bill, you know, that when no one's there, and Rabbi Tenenbaum, I don't know if you know him, a wonderful human being too, the cemetery people participate in the burial as if they're family. So when no one shows up there, they're there, and they pretend that they're the family. So it's important to acknowledge them. Friends of mine that came in from out of town, people in the casket world, who the hell wants to hear about this stuff, right? A casket. Crazy stuff. Alice, you did a great job. Rabbi Wazorowski, thank you so much. And I think my closing words are this. Listen, I'm a fortunate human being because I got to suffer a little bit. I came here with nothing. I have a wonderful family. My wife is you know, takes care of me. Listen, it's not easy to be married to a guy like me. And Simcha, you're still on the phone. That's okay. Yeah, he's working. But I just want to say thank you very much. I feel like my funeral is now over. This is my eulogy. Please record it. God bless America. No, seriously, God bless you. And may we all have only peace. May the hostages come home. And may we just find peace in this world. And Rob, seriously, we're going to have a good time at the park.